Hi, Knox County students. This is Miss Killian from Powell Middle School, 6th grade social studies, and I am here to teach you about the fall of Rome today. So this is KCS at home for the summer edition. Again, this is a short video about the lesson that you can pause if you feel like that I am moving too quickly. So we have two standards that we are going to be focused on today. Standard 6.61. Explain the division of the Roman Empire into the east and west, and identify the later establishment of the Constantinople as the capital by Constantine. The second standard is 6.62. We're analyzing the fall of the Western Roman Empire, including the difficulty governing its large territory, political corruption, economic instability, and the attacks by the Germanic tribes, and identify the continuation of the Eastern Roman Empire as by the Byzantine Empire. This is a lot of information to cover, and so what I'm teaching you today is just basically the highlights of each one of these standards, and this is something you'll need at the beginning of next year when we start school again. So I'm starting with standard 6.62, and the learning focus for that one today is that after we do the lesson, I would like for you to be able to list 3 reasons why the Roman Empire fell, and then you're going to give evidence to support each one of those reasons. Things you're going to need, and there's 6 pages that I have included for both the lessons. For this first lesson, you will only need the first 4 pages. Things you're going to need for the lesson, for both of the lessons, you'll need paper, pencil, Play-Doh, and clay, and then drawing materials. I've provided the text for you, and then I've also created graphic organizers for you. There is vocabulary words that you'll need for each of the lessons. Then you know how important vocabulary words are for social studies. So let's go over those together. So we have internal, external, Germanic tribes, and they were sometimes called barbarians or uncivilized people. They came from the north, and that's how the Romans identified them. They are also known as the Huns, the Goth, the Visigoths, the Vandals, the Ostrogoths, the Franks, and then Diocletian and Constantine were 2 Roman emperors that we'll be focused on, Attila, and then the corruption. I have 2 texts that's provided for you. So text 1 is Problems and Threaten the Empire. If you have your textbook available online, you can read it on the pages 364 to 365. Your second text is Factors in the Rome's Fall, and that's on page 369. Below, I've given you a graphic organizer that will help you as you read the text provided. I have gone ahead and given you the 3 reasons as to why the Roman Empire fell. So the first reason is foreign invasions. The second reason is external problems. And then the third reason is internal problems. Let's talk about foreign invasions. That just means that someone other than Rome is coming in to attack the Roman Empire. External would be that things that are happening externally, like outside of the Roman Empire or outside the Roman city, that's causing problems for the whole Roman Empire. Internally means it's happening on the inside. So in the inside of the Roman Empire, what's going on that's really causing either conflict or causing, poor communication, things that are not allowing the Roman Empire to run smoothly. So we're going to go back up here. I think the first outline for letter I is the easiest one. So we're going to go up there and kind of do this one together. So when you go up back to text 1, it talks about problems in the empire. So we're going to scan the information together to see if we can think about what would be the foreigner invasions, who's coming into the Roman Empire. So I see as we read here that even as emperors were giving up new territory, new threats to the empire were appearing. Tribes of Germanic warriors, whom the Romans called barbarians, attacked Romans' northern borders. At the same time, the Persian armies invaded the east. The Romans defended themselves for over 200 years, but only at a great cost. The Romans struggled with problems within the empire as well. So I believe when we go back to our graphic organizer, we could probably fill in the first example here. So for A, we would write a foreign invader, and basically we read up there in the text that was the Germanic tribes. So you would write Germanic tribes here. And then the second group that came in to try to take over the Roman Empire was the Persian armies. Remember, we talked about the Persian armies previously when we talked about Greece. Remember, Greece was a very large empire, and then eventually it was taken over by Alexander the Great. The Roman Empire is not as large as the Persian Empire, but it was quite large in and itself. We've talked about previously before with other large territories. When leaders became so large, they had a hard time controlling the large territories, and it usually cost them their leadership because they could not figure out how to control such a large area. I would like for you to move on to now to see if you can fill out the external problems. There are 4 things you can read in the text that will kind of fit into this category. And then the internal problems, there are 6. So there's things that you can read from the text that you can fill out the internal problems and the external problems. And that's basically the heart of the lesson as to when we go back and think about the 3 reasons why Rome fell, and then you are given supporting evidence as to why the Roman Empire actually fell. Remember, when we talk about the Roman Empire falling, we're not talking about a building collapsing. We're talking about the empire not being able to be led in a good direction by a strong leader. We're talking about issues economically that are happening. We're talking about the military, having a role, and just the people between the Roman citizens having problems within the empire. So just make sure you make note of that. The next little part is in class, we always have a time to kind of just stop and think about what is it that we really learn during class. And then we call this a pause and think. I'm asking you the question here. I want to know, why did the Roman Empire really fall? And then I'm asking you to list 2 to 3 reasons why it really fell. You will pull information from the graphic organizer above, but this is just time for you to kind of think about and analyze what is it really that helped or created the problems for the Roman Empire. So I'm going to give you kind of 3 examples that kind of makes me think of why the Roman Empire really fell. So I guess my first reason is that we had some foreign invasions. The Germanic tribes were coming in from the north, and the Persian Empire was actually coming in, or the Persian armies were coming in. And I really feel like that they just had too many people attacking Rome, and it really left them weak and let them, kind of be divided among themselves. Another reason that I thought about is that the citizens, I think, were just afraid. They didn't have a good leadership. They kind of lost confidence in the government. And, your poor citizens were kind of left in the city of Rome, just kind of left there to kind of fend for themselves. The wealthy Romans were, able to kind of get out of that situation, and they moved to the countryside because they were able to afford to do that. And so the Roman Empire really had a lot of, problems going on and not a whole lot of solutions. The next little part is we're digging deeper. And so that just kind of, what allows us to, go a little bit deeper to see if we really understand what the 3 reasons were. So in this part, I'm asking you to be a little bit more creative. And this is where the Play-Doh would come in, or clay, or just drawing materials. I would ask you to design or create a 3D example of why the Roman Empire fell. And again, you would pull basically from the graphic organizer that we created earlier. In class, I would give you a 3-minute time limit, and so that you would use that 3 minutes and you would create 3 reasons as to why the Roman Empire actually fell. And after that 3-minute time limit is up, another learner should be able to identify what you had created. And then the way I like to close the lesson is in class, we do something called a reflection. And a reflection just gives you time to think about everything that we talked about in class, and then formulate that into written work. And so really identify the most important problem that you believed led to the fall of the Western Roman Empire. And you could probably do that between 2 to 3 sentences. You identify the problem, and then you justify your thoughts. So when you think about this question, we have an expression that says, the icing on the cake, or this was the last straw. So think about, what was it, one thing that you really felt like was the reason why the Roman Empire actually fell? And that's where you would kind of put your thoughts in that reflection piece. I've given you some extended learning. Sometimes we call that enrichment. And so I've given you a map skills handout. And so let me show you what that looks like. So it's called The Attack of the Barbarians. Basically, you read information here, and then they have a map for you, and then the questions beneath the map. So you would answer the questions based on the map that you see. And again, this is just kind of some extended learning, and it gives you a little bit more information about the barbarians and where they came from, and how map skills are super important to social studies. And that pretty much is the first lesson for Standard 6.62. If you have questions or you need a little bit more time, then you can go back and pause the video and then just kind of take it at your own pace. And then we're going to move right in now to the second lesson. And so this is the second standard. It's 6.61. Again, we're explaining the division of Roman Empire into the East and West. And then we're identifying later establishments of Constantinople as the capital by Constantine. So again, you can pause this video anytime that you need to go a little bit slower if I'm moving too quickly for you. So for this lesson 2, again, it's an overall arching, why did the Roman Empire really fall? We need to be able to compare and contrast, and we've done that before in class, Diocletian and Constantine strategies to help effectively lead Rome. And then we would like to do a debate to see who had more success. Was it Diocletian that was more successful, or was it Constantine that was more successful? I have included 2 video links. The first one is called Chaos in the Empire Falls, and it's about 6 minutes and 33 seconds. You can watch that video as an introduction to the lesson. And then the second one is about Constantine becomes the emperor, and it's about 3 minutes and 5 seconds long for supporting evidence. And so these are hyperlinked, and so you just click on them and they will take you straight to the video. Again, we're trying to compare and contrast Diocletian to Constantine to see who had the better strategies in leading Rome once the empire fell. So again, I've given you text, and this comes from your textbook. If you have access to your online textbook, it's found on page 365 to page 366. The first part is about Diocletian, and then the second part is about Constantine. And again, you're going to use the videos as evidence also to help you do this compare and contrast. Your second text is the Eastern and Western Empires, and the page number, it's on page 365. And then I've included a map for you to kind of give you an idea just how large the Roman Empire was, and when it divided, where was the Western Empire. It's located in green here by the map key. And then the Eastern Empire is over here, and it's later known as the Eastern Empire, and then later it changes its name to the Byzantine or Byzantium Empire. So it's known by both of those names. You see Constantinople here, and later in history, that city changes its name to Istanbul. And then you have another text, text 3, about just new teachings of the emperors, excuse me. It's on page 401 and 402 in your text. So your graphic organizer that I have created for you is to do a compare and contrast of Diocletian, and you're going to do the strategies to save the Roman Empire. Remember, you're going to use both texts provided and the video clips as evidence. So I have listed 6 things that Diocletian tried to do to save the empire, and then 6 things that Constantine tried to do to save the empire, and then 2 things that they had in common. So what was it that both of the emperors tried to do for Rome? And then after you complete your graphic organizer, we're going to dig a little deeper, which just means for you to analyze things a little bit more rigorous. And so I think it'd be a great idea or a great thing to do is to plan a debate for which emperor had the best plan for saving Rome. So do you think that Diocletian had a better plan, or do you think that Constantine had a better plan? So think about 3 pros, and that would be three good things, and 3 cons, that would be 3 bad things, for each leader. And you will need to provide support for your candidate and why you think he is the better leader for Rome. So this really kind of goes with what we do a lot of times in our political system today, where we listen to a debate where, one leader will say this is what they're going to do for the country, and this is what, this one wants to do for the country. And so this is kind of like a simulation of something that would happen in today's world. And then your extended learning, remember, this is enrichment. This is something extra that you could do to enrich your knowledge. You're going to do a research of the two. You do research the life of Diocletian and then research Constantine to gain just insight on how they were chosen to become the emperors of Rome. So it's pretty interesting the way both leaders were chosen to be the leader of Rome and the Roman Empire. And so I think you might find that very interesting to see what and how they became the leaders of Rome. And that's the 2 standards that I need to go over with you for the fall of Rome. I hope you have learned a lot of information. I hope you are staying safe, and I hope you all have a great summer, and we will see you in the fall, and we will get started again with school. Thank you for watching.